All right, I've got 6 o'clock-ish. I'm going to start because you got to go home and eat dinner because I didn't bring you dinner, so sorry. Valerie brought whiskey, so if everybody wants. So I want to welcome you all to our informational meeting. This is about the PEEP Photographers Co-op, and this is information specifically geared toward photographers that might be interested in using the co-op to show their work and sell their work. So this is what this is. I'm going to tell you all I know. Come on in, the water's fine. 6:01, so that's it. No, you can still come in.
You're in the hot seat.
So why are we doing this? Why is PEEP doing this? Well, PEEP is 31 years old this year. We're old. We're old. And in dog years, that's that's 200 and some on. And so we do this because we want to. We're always trying to do something new and interesting, and we thought. We've been having these monthly meetings for 31 years. Let's try adding on to that. And so we love photography. That's the real reason. And so this is another thing we can do as a club to make membership in PEEP more useful to our members. So the agenda for tonight, we're going to talk about the PEEP Co-op itself, some photography models, like how is this going to be paid for? How much you're going to pay each month? These are all proposed things. We're going to talk a little bit about our GoFundMe that we've got going, and then at the end, there's a feedback and a survey. And please stay till the end because if you could sign in. And the reason I'm asking you to sign in is because we're applying for grants for this, and one of the things that the grants ask for is their interest in it, and you have to show interest, and so your attendance is proof of interest. So yay. So what is a co-op? So a co-op is a group of people who have come together to pool resources, share in decision making and governance, and spread out financial risk. Co-ops operate from the knowledge that collectivity lets you accomplish more, and that the people create value for an institution should also be able to make decisions about how it operates. So that's the basic definition of what a co-op is, what an artist co-op is, and what we would be essentially an artist co-op. So we got that from the website, What Are Artist Co-ops? So with a co-op, no rakes are allowed. So you might say, well, what does that mean? No rakes are allowed. So let me tell you. When I got married the second time, my future father-in-law, who giving you the lecture, he said to me, "Don't be a rake." And I was like, "What's a rake?" And he goes, "You know how a rake works?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "A rake works by you're always bringing stuff to you. A rake is always bringing stuff toward the person. It's never giving back. It's never giving away." And he goes, "Don't be that way in a marriage. Don't always just be taking. You should be giving as well." And so that's what a rake is. So no rakes will be allowed in this co-op. And also, for those of you that don't like that analogy, perhaps you remember from grade school the Aesop's fable of the grasshoppers and the ants. The grasshoppers and the ants. It's like some of you are like, what the hell is he talking about? So that fable, that Aesop fable, and you really should read your Aesop's fables, for goodness sakes. The stories of the grasshoppers and the ants, essentially that was the story of the grasshopper spent all summer playing the fiddle, while the ants gathered the grains for the winter, and then when the time came for when winter came around, the grasshopper went to the ants and said, "Hey, can I have some grain? I didn't pick any. I was playing the fiddle." And they said, "No, you cannot." And so the grasshopper died. So we don't want any grasshoppers. So
what about SpongeBob?
SpongeBob. Yeah, for you in the audience, the younger folks, let us go back to ancient Greek lessons. And so I'm going to do this caveat here, that this discussion is for a proposed PEEP co-op space. There is, at this moment, no co-op space, all right? We are gathering all the parts for it. The board has approved looking into it. The board has not approved the actual space itself. They would have to do that, right? And so that's what so this is a proposed PEEP co-op space. I will tell you, however, the board seems very, very interested in doing this. So, but all this is a proposed conversation. So, why a PEEP co-op? So, let's look at some of the reasons why we would have a PEEP co-op. So, it would be unique in the El Paso area. There is nothing like it in the El Paso area. There's no, I'm even thinking it's hard to even find an artist co-op here in El Paso. But there's certainly no photography co-op in El Paso or in the area. The only photography specific space is is within a 60-mile radius of El Paso, and that's up in Carrizozo.
Have you ever been to Carrizozo?
Yes, I have. They have a really good pizza place, but that's and the giant photo gallery, but that's about it for Carrizozo. That's about
middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. So. But they do have an excellent pizza place. It's Rosie's Pizza. It's very good. So anyway, you have to go 160 miles to find a photography-specific gallery in this area. There are, what's that?
We can't get in it.
Yeah, yeah.
New Mexico only.
It's New Mexico only, and there are galleries that have photography in them, but there are not photography-specific galleries. So, for instance, there's one up in Silver City that has photography in it.
There's a couple in the south.
Yeah, but that's beyond the 160 miles. So if we did this, it would not just be a gallery. It would be a gallery and a learning center. It would be a space where PEEP would meet. We would move our meetings to PEEP, to there, our PEEP meetings. And also we would have educational programs there. So for instance, like the Doña Ana Club has every year they have like a boot camp, right? If we would do something like that, we would do the boot camp at the gallery. We would have it at the gallery. So of course a meeting place for PEEP. Depending on the size of it, depending on the space, we could build in a small studio that PEEP members could use on their own. They could come in and then maybe people that aren't members of PEEP could come in and rent that studio. Again, we could have workshops and outreach at that spot. And of course, we would also have a social media presence. So if somebody is showing at that gallery, say Martin has some photos up, those photos would also be up on the website with the price that Martin's selling those for sale as well. So it would be advertising for him as well. And of course, it would be a showcase for local photographers. We don't have that right now. We don't have a specific, and I know that what local photographers do will go out on their own and try to drum up some business or try to find a gallery or a coffee shop or someplace that'll hang their stuff. Good luck in this town finding somebody that'll hang your stuff. But this would be a specific place just for photographers in El Paso. So how would it work? How would it work? And by the way, this is a picture inside that gallery that's up there in Carrizozo. It's the largest photo gallery in New Mexico, they say. So
How do they support?
So So I'm looking for their exact same model, and if anyone in this room would like to follow that, see me afterwards. They have this millionaire guy who bought up the whole block, all the buildings in the block, and turned the one into a photo gallery, and then the one across the street, he opened a gallery for his wife, and that's, yeah. And he lives in Chicago, so. So how would it work? How would this thing work? So there is a model. There is a model for this, and the model is the Albuquerque, the ABQ Photo Gallery Co-op. There's actually one that actually exists up in Albuquerque. And they have graciously sent me their bylaws, and they're sent me their their rules of engagement. That's not right. That's a military term. That's probably.
You know, you kill them on the way.
So we would model it after the Albuquerque Photo Gallery. What we would do, we would tell all the photographers that are participating that your egos must be checked at the door, that everybody is of equal value in this co-op. It's not Tim's co-op, it's not Martin's co-op, it's not Abby's co-op, it's not Tina's co-op, it's everybody's co-op. And so your egos, I read they told this to the people when they did that, one of those charity songs where they brought in all the artists to sing some charity song, Band-Aid or something, and they said, check your egos at the door. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to check our egos at the door. It's going to be owned and operated by PEEP Incorporated. That's the mothership. That's PEEP. That's what we are. And then how many days a week will it be open? I don't know. So galleries typically aren't open all the week long, and depending on where we end up, might determine that. So for instance, if we're looking at a spot on Texas Avenue, that's really interesting, but if we're on Texas Avenue, we don't have to be open every day of the week. We could be open 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. We don't have to be open every day of the week. If we got a spot at Sunland Park Mall, which is now Solano, the Solano, if we got a spot there, then we would have to be open with what their hours are, which is a lot more, right? And so it depends on where we're at, but I'm kind of thinking 4 days a week, Thursday through Sunday or Wednesday through Saturday. You know, Wednesday through Saturday is probably better. You know, people don't, well, and again, it's based on location. You know, if we're in a place that's got a lot of traffic on a Sunday, we'll stay open on Sundays. If we have a place that nobody goes to on Sundays and everything around it is closed, we probably will close on Sundays. So that's a thought. Remember, everything here is proposed. Everything here is proposed. So selected photographers would be able to display and sell, and the number is based on available space. So if you look around this room here, for instance, you can only hang so much artwork in a space. You know, until it looks like your grandma's house, where grandma just started nailing things to the wall. And so there are ways around that, though. I mean, like say Tim has this space right here, but he's got a lot more work to show than he can put on the wall. We can have those bins where he can put the prints in the bins, and those also would be for sale as well. So they have specific names, by the way. So if you're a member of the co-op, you would commit to work on scheduled days, and not everyone could work on Saturday or Sunday. You'd have to commit, you know, it'd be on a rotating basis as well, you know, and so the members would set the price for their work. The club would have nothing to do with what you think your artwork is worth. However, we were having just this discussion in El Paso, in this area. If you go downstairs to the glass, what's the glass gallery? Is that what it's called? What's it called downstairs? The Crossland. That's it. Glass gallery is over on UTEP. Crossland Gallery. You'll see great photography on sale for $45. Framed. yeah, exactly. Yeah, with a $50 frame. That's exactly. And so we're thinking, you know, the photographer will price what it's worth, but we're trying to raise the standard in El Paso for photography. If, like Dale was saying, if you go up to Santa Fe and see that exact same $50 framed photograph in a Santa Fe gallery, it's $500. And here it's $45. So members would set the price for their work. The co-op would collect and distribute sales. The co-op would not sell the work. The artist is selling the work. So for instance, let's say Tina has a $100 picture on the wall, photograph on the wall. She sells it. The gallery, the co-op, collects the $100, slides it right back to Tina. Okay, We're just the collector. We probably would take off a fee if we used a credit card or something. Somebody used a credit card to pay. We'd deduct that from the $100. And so those are things that the artist would have to think about adding into their price as well. So
who collects the sales tax?
So here's the deal, yes. So the sales tax is up to the artist. Sales tax up to the artist. We'll give you the money. If you want to do the sales tax, we're going to ask that, what's that?
What do you mean if you want to?
Well, yeah, if you want
to.
So the member, the photographer, and I think it's on another slide, the photographer, we're going to ask that each one has some kind of business ID number. So, and small business, you can use your social as your business ID number or your EIN number. So, yeah.
So if you're running the sale through the co-op, co-op's got a 501c3, there's no sales tax there, right? Wouldn't that be the loophole or the?
Well, see, we don't have to. So we're just collecting the money. That's all we're doing. We're not paying sales tax. So.
But see, a nonprofit, you can't be selling stuff. You have to be careful because your nonprofit status could be at risk. They'll take a look at it and say, well, there's nothing nonprofit about that. You're a for-profit business.
And I went down to the comptroller and just tried to find parking in that building. I drove all the way around, the comptroller, and then parked in the parking garage and paid my money and then walked around, and there was parking for free in front of this building. I was like, but I got my steps in. So anyway, the comptroller said that it would actually be better for us if we just did it that way, where we just collected the money and handed it back, and it was up to the individual artist to pay this. So we would keep record of everything that we collected and the name of the artist and all that kind of stuff. So if anybody came and asked us, hey, has David Sabal sold any photography? We could say, yes, here's a list of all the things David Sabal has sold. We sure hope David has paid his sales tax on those. And they'll say, oh, yes, he has.
So what's
Tina Dwyer, on the other hand.
What is the purpose then or the advantage of running sales through the co-op?
So running the sales through the co-op is that you're in a place, because if you're coming from out of town and you see this, I want to buy this, I'm going to take it back home with me to wherever I came from. Can I buy this? It's a lot easier to just say yes than to say no. You have to go. We can contact that photographer for you. And so, okay. So here's the photographer's responsibility. Again, proposed. All of these are proposed. So each photographer would have to would participate in the workings of the co-op. Cleaning the toilets, sweeping the floors, hanging running it. You're running a business. And so, we would make schedules, just like your parents would do the chores, okay? Tim Holt, you're doing the vacuuming this week, and you're doing the windows in the front. Okay. Tina every week has to clean the toilets. That's Tina. It just comes up that way. I don't know what it is. So you have to participate. So the work would be scheduled for amount of time each week, and so depending on the number of photographers, you may not work a week. You may work every other week or every third week, depending on the number of photographers that are in the co-op and the number of days that we're open, the number of hours, all that kind of stuff. So the photographer would have to maintain an inventory for their space. So if you sell a lot of stuff and you have this big empty space on the wall, it's your responsibility to come back and fill that up and make sure that it looks nice. Okay?
I know this, I'm pretty sure I asked this question beforehand, but the space, how are the spaces, say we have suddenly this thing takes off, we've got 125 photographers all want a space. How does the space be divvied up? Is it permanent, or does it rotate monthly, bi-monthly?
We will get to that. I have thought of that would be a great problem to have. So,
Why did you need a bigger space?
What? Yeah. Yeah, find a bigger space. So the photographers should have a tax ID number and pay their own sales tax. We talked about that already. And of course, follow all the rules of the co-op. Before a photographer is allowed to go up into the co-op, they would have to sign off and agree to the rules. So you've agreed to these rules. That way, now there will be an overriding, there will be like a board that oversees the co-op, not the board of PEEP, but a board of the co-op made of maybe 5 people, 3 to 5 people. And those people oversee the day-to-day workings of the co-op. They would be the ones responsible if somebody, doesn't keep up their end of the bargain of getting rid of that person, saying, "We're sorry, we thank you for your participation, but..."
You'd be the HOA guy.
Yes, you're the HOA. Yes,
With big black boots.
that's right. All right.
I know we don't really want to get into a whole lot of details, but we say 3 to 5. Recommendation would be at least 5, because if you only have 3, it's possible for 2 to gang up on 1. And
I think I wrote a business plan out, and I haven't posted it yet, but in the business plan, I think it says 3 to 5, and 2 of the board members of the co-op are board members of PEEP. So that's, that way there's this connection already, so the things aren't happening behind the larger organization's back, and they would also be responsible for tamping down any issues that come up. One of the things, and I'm sorry Steve Lama is not here today, because Steve Lama, in every single meeting that we have, says you should have more things that are just for PEEP members. I'm like, okay. So this would just be for PEEP members. Now, that does not mean that you can't be a community photographer and be part of this group. That just means you have to join PEEP, which is a $30 a year. So once you're a member of PEEP, then the co-op's open to you. So
would a PEEP member have priority for space versus the guy that just walks in off the street?
The guy that just walks in off the street would have no priority, would not be able to. You'd have to be a PEEP member. This is the PEEP Co-op, so you'd have to be a PEEP member. So here's some possible payment models. Again, these are possible payment models. And there's a set monthly rate of maybe like $40 a month. Whoops, excuse me. Maybe 40. Whoops. I got $40 a month. This is new. I'm just getting used to it. Of $40 a month, plus a percent of sales, like 20%. And I'm just going by that Albuquerque group. Okay. This is just that's based on the Albuquerque group. Another way is just say, forget a percent of the sales. Just say, it's $45, $50 a month. And that's used to pay the rent. Got to pay the rent, got to pay the utility bills. So there's a set monthly rate. There might be a sliding scale starting at $30 per month, increasing with sales up to $75 a month. That's a possibility based on, like, say Martin's work is just kicking butt and selling and selling and selling, and Tim's work gathering dust, because nobody likes Tim's work. Well, iPhone. crappy cell phone pictures. So we might say, hey, Martin, you need to pitch in a little bit more because you're selling more. Tim, you pitch in less because you're selling less, okay? But we would encourage Tim to go out and drum up some. Yes, come on, dude. Now, if Tim goes months and months and months and doesn't sell a thing, then the board might, and this would be written into the rules, the board might say, look, there's an issue with Tim's pictures. There's something wrong with Tim. And I think we all have figured that. We've all known that for years. And say, Tim, let's give Tim a break. Pleasantly give him a break for a few months and let somebody else pop in. Yeah. You would pay that monthly rate once a month at the beginning of the month or the end of the month, whatever, you'd pay that rate. And then a possibility is that as more people come in, that monthly rate would go down. So if we start at $45 a month or whatever, but that's with 25 members. Then if we get 30 members, then we can lower that price as long as we're covering the cost of the rent and the utilities. I mean, those are our big things, the rent and utilities.
So in a sense, you just, how the fees are set is, we're just trying to pretty much break even on that.
Yes.
I would recommend though that you have a little bit of extra in there, another 10, 20% or something, that can go into some kind of a growth fund. Because if this thing does take off, then there's probably more things that you might want to add. Don't know what
Right.
it is.
Well, some of the things that we were thinking about, Michael, is like if we have workshops,
Yeah.
we could charge for those workshops.
Yeah.
And then that fee would go back into the co-op for those workshops. Where, if Tim can't sell anything, but Tim can do a workshop. And so people like his workshops, but they don't like his pictures. So that's, hey, that's all right. Okay, so those, again, possible. These are all possible. None of this is written in stone. These are just ways that other co-ops have done it across the U.S. Timmy has actually been looking at a lot of different co-ops. I've learned more about artist co-ops than I wanted to know. Yes, Martin?
Do they mention in any of these things you read about a ceiling, the maximum amount of people before it becomes unwieldy?
Yes, yes. The vast majority of them that I've looked at, and I've looked at about 20, 25, they're about 35 to 40 people as tops. And so the one in Albuquerque started with 30, and now they're at 10. So,
But they're successful.
but they're successful at 10, yeah, so.
So Tim, did Albuquerque tell you what their monthly sales are?
No, I didn't get into that.
Is that why it went?
I was just thankful they sent me their bylaws, man. I was like, well, they're still open, and they've been open for, they've been open for 10 years or more, and so it's like,
They just moved.
yes, they moved away from Old Town, or,
Second floor in Old Town, and they moved somewhere else in Old Town. Pretty high rent.
as a matter of fact, that's a picture from, that's a picture from that group over there, and those are those little stands that you could sell those extra ones in. So some additional information about it. The space would be the same for each member. Remember, everybody's the same. Check your ego at the door. So, and it would be based on the amount of space on the walls, and if we have like mobile, movable walls that we can put work up on. I don't know what they call those, but
They call them movable walls.
they call them movable walls. So
That's the link that I sent you today.
the movable wall space, yeah. About 10 linear feet of wall space, and so whatever that is, 10 linear feet. Plus, you could get the artist, whatever that is called in there, artist rack. That's what it's called, folding artist rack, which we could then rent to the photographer for maybe $5 a month or something. So, yes.
Would there be opportunities for members to do a one-person show?
Yes. Yes. So all this depends on the space, right? And so if our space is the size of this room, that's one thing. If the space is the size of the J.C. Penney building that's empty downtown with 90,000 square feet, that's another.
Which we looked at, by the way.
Which we looked at, we did look at it. Yeah, Michael and I,
And we have the rooftop on that.
I believe Michael showed me every condemned building in El Paso. That was
But they have some awesome
The
buildings.
beautiful
Yeah.
one, the best one is the old.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful one. It's got this wonderful.
Glass, and you got the apartments upstairs with this wraparound balcony, and it's 2 blocks from the hotels and stuff.
So each week or month there would be a highlighted member. We would highlight those members that are, just to show them that, throw a little extra love, maybe generate a little bit of a business for them. We might bring in guest photographers as ringers, like if that guy, what's his name, that's coming to Las Cruces? Paul Butcher. If Paul Butcher said, hey, can I have a show at your gallery for 3 weeks? Yeah, You can, because you're a world famous photographer, and we would love to have you there. And so that would be, you know, but that
Small fee, $30.
we'd have, you just have to be a member of PEEP. If Ansel Adam, no, he's dead. He can't do this. And then, of course, our web space would reflect whatever was happening in the co-op, and so that would be.
Could the co-op have its own web space?
The co-op would have its own web space, yes.
Let me suggest in terms of wall space and that sort of thing, a lot of the galleries, like the ones down in Alpine and all, of course, they're not just photography, they've got pottery and stuff like that, but they've got the sales area in the middle and surrounded by counters, and that would be a good place for people to put in cards and small items and things like that,
Yep.
which are actually where a lot of the artists that I've talked to doing this, they make their monthly payment on stuff like cards.
The postcard and the, yeah,
Yeah.
the greeting card.
Greeting
Yeah.
cards, yeah.
Absolutely. And so all of those are fair game for the artists. I mean, anything like if Margita wants to sell Christmas cards, you know, for, you know, of her with her photography in it, then, you know, that's good. Now, I would not allow, or we would not allow Margita to sell Christmas cards that she went to the Hallmark store, bought 15 Christmas cards, and then put them out for sale. What is that? Yeah. So what's our initial goal here? Our initial goal is to get 30 to 35 photographers. Okay, 30 to 35. That's what we're aiming for. And then we could also have a volunteer core of people that may not want to post up, be on the walls or sell or anything, but they still want to participate. They still want to help out. They still want to work. And so we could have like a volunteer core of people that might want to just, the person sitting there, they would sit and babysit their space for a day or two, a month, or whatever. So last night I was at the Doñana Club meeting, and I was telling them, one of the members about this, and Dale, turn your head, because they said, this person I was speaking to said, you will never get 35 people in this town. So my goal is to get 35 people in this town. I'll be damned if I'm going to let somebody tell me I can't do something. So I'm going to go for 35 people in this town. So
You got a pretty good crowd here.
we got 25 here, so we're well on our way. Even Tina's husband is going to start doing photography for this. So for $30 a year. So if you have not seen this, this is an article in the PEEP sheet for this month. It's about the co-op, co-op concept. And so you just go to our website. It's already posted. It's free to anybody. You do not have to be a PEEP member to read that. And so I want you to, by the way, isn't this a lovely background as it just moves? David, can you see that moving? David? Wait a sec, let's do this for David here. Let's do it there. Can you see that, David? There. Ooh, ah, ee. All right. So I want you to use your imagination here a second. Okay. So this is just an example. Okay, using AI, and it's bad AI. I apologize. But this is a spot that we were looking at that was something else. I think it was a bar or something. And now imagine that as a gallery. Yeah? Imagine that as a gallery. See? That's what it would look like. I mean, it would look better than that, but that's what AI thinks it would look like. And there's the same room from the back. We don't need a lot of space. We just need space. And this is actually much bigger than this looks. It's much wider. But if we put in some, we paint the floor and put up some pictures on the walls, it looks okay. It looks all right. That's kind of the concept of the whole thing. And then
something like that, you could put some benches in the middle.
Yes.
For people to sit and talk.
And also those movable walls would be in there as well. So you'd have more room for photographers. So why are we having this GoFundMe thing, you ask? Well, because these things just don't drop out of the air and you can't say, hey, I want to start a co-op, yay. So there are initial startup fees, and this is just a partial list of the startup fees that we would experience if we wanted to do this. And you can read them all, but now some of those we might get donated to us. Like say, for instance, somebody says, hey, I know that you're having Paint Saturday where you're painting the walls and the floors. I'll donate, 5 gallons of white for you to paint. Okay, that's good. So that's good. Maybe somebody will say, I've got an old bucket you can use, and some leftover Mr. Clean that you can use that. And so those are things that we have to consider. So for instance, hanging hardware, whoops, go back. Hanging hardware, that's not inexpensive, and we don't want to look cheap either. We don't want to look like, nails in the wall kind of thing. You want something nice. Like Abby knows hanging hardware very well after today because he's been down in the gallery hanging the next show. And so, but those aren't cheap. Those aren't, and so those are all just some of the things. Now, we've already paid for some of this. We've already paid. The board gave permission last board meeting to, we've joined an organization called the Texas Association of Lawyers and Accountants, Texas Association of Lawyers and Accountants. And that's an association that provides pro bono work for artists, for nonprofits. And so we joined them, and we have our first meeting with a CPA from Austin in a week and a half. So we're going to make up our $250 after one meeting, I think. And so I don't know what CPAs charge or what lawyers cost, but this is good. I asked, do you have any lawyers in El Paso? No. But we do it by Zoom, so it doesn't matter. So. All right, so this is where I'm going to hit you up. If you have not heard about this, we have a GoFundMe going on right now. Our goal is to start off with $3,500. If we go above $3,500, yay. But we're right at $2,690 right now. So we're doing pretty good. We've only been up for like a week and a couple of days. So I've posted this all over. It's been on the Doniana site. It's on El Paso Photographers. It's on every freaking website I can think of. And so let me tell you a story real quick that might inspire you. So I'm for some reason, this lady that I used to work with sends me very bad jokes, like once a week, very bad jokes. But, they're okay, like bad puns, so, bad pun jokes. Well, she sends them to all these other people that she knows. And so there's this little mailing list of about 10 people. So I just did this to that group of 10 people. I said, hey, we've been exchanging bad jokes for all this time. I'm doing this fundraiser. Can you do it? 3 of those 10 people donated. So, they were all like $25 and $30 each. So you never know who's going to donate. So you don't think that it has to be other photographers that are donating. It could be, somebody that just, thinks it's a good idea.
So I went to put it on mine. I have several different Facebook pages, each one that has well over 5,000 people on it. When I went to our site there, you didn't make it shareable.
Okay, I will.
There's been a reason for doing that. So what I had to do is I had to do a cut and paste and all. It was a little bit difficult just to share that. I'm willing to do that, but maybe a lot of other people aren't. So
I'll go back and make sure I've shared it. I will check and make sure.
And then you mentioned in a Facebook post that there would be another way to donate.
So there are multiple ways to donate. Ron, they can send us a check. Okay. They can send us Bitcoin. Hey, no.
Would you say no?
No, we would not say no. PayPal, right? They can give it through PayPal. And on PayPal, you can donate through a credit card. This, actually, someone got stuck and thought that it only allows PayPal, because like PayPal is the first thing that comes up. But if you keep scrolling down, it goes to just credit card. You can donate as a credit card. So, but what's interesting is that all this money actually ends up going to PayPal, and then PayPal Charitable Services sends it out to the charity. So.
And they don't take a fee for that.
Oh yeah, yeah, they do.
See, I use a lot of stuff. I use PayPal all the time. So especially when I make donations.
Uh-huh.
So let's say you want to give $100, okay? You can do, it'll break it up into 4 payments.
Mhm.
So, that makes it a little bit easier for somebody wanting to donate.
So, questions, thoughts? David?
So people attend things, let me back up. It's cool to have photographs on the wall and photographs on dividers, but just because we have photographs everywhere doesn't mean that the event itself, whatever's going on the floor, has to be photographic, although it would be nice if it were. But what I'm saying is, if we have a space, we should monetize the space as much as possible to hold events there, hold poetry readings, coffee shops, musicians, whatever.
A couple belly dancers.
Belly dancers. Now, I will tell you a little bit more than I know. The place that Michael and I were looking at the other day, 2 doors down or next door to it, it was a brewery, or is a brewery.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason why we couldn't work with the people in the brewery for something, and so there's unlimited possibilities.
So my point is that I think we should have a kitchen, because then because people come for food, no? People come for food, and if we can provide, munchies, finger foods, whatever, for every single event that we put on, people are gonna come for that. And we don't, because it'll save us a lot of money in catering.
You know what? It might be easier just to reach out to our food truck community for something like that, because having a kitchen comes with a whole nother.
Yeah, if we have a kitchen, we have to get city involved, health.
But
And a commercial kitchen's gonna set you back anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million just to set it up.
So Abby will be donating that kitchen.
Actually, I can get you a location for lunch.
but I think we have such a great little food truck community.
Yeah, I mean,
that it would fit with the art.
absolutely. I mean, there's you can invite artists in, again, like you can do readings, you can do all kinds of different stuff to make it an interesting space. It doesn't just have to be, like David said, pictures on a wall. I mean, it can be much more than that. So, yes, Dale?
I just want to toss into this something that I picked up recently, and that is that there's been a trend lately away from framed, matted wall art, because people either don't want the frame or they want to frame it their own way. And even people like Wayne Suggs has gone to the acrylics or the metal prints. So one thing we might consider is how we want to do that as individuals, obviously, but since there's a movement that way, it also puts money back in our pockets as the photographers, because you're not paying for framing and museum glass.
Yeah, I mean, there's like printing on metal, printing on glass, printing on acrylic, printing on, like downstairs in this show that's opening on Saturday, I've got 3 that use that X-Poser, which has the frame on the back. It doesn't even look like you can't even see the frame, and so.
That's a treasure, that's a hunt, that's a treasure hunt.
That's a treasure hunt. Martin?
What about attaching an e-commerce site to the co-op?
So they could buy something online. They could buy like Martin's picture is up or your picture's up, and they look at it and say, I want to buy that. That's yeah, we ship them. So like the shipping would be part of the cost, additional cost. Yeah, there's no issue with that. I would just I would think that would be like stage 2, getting it off the ground, getting it up on the walls, getting people to know we're there. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is adding shipping. and maybe some different ways to monetize like that. Yeah, absolutely. Any more? What do you think? I mean, is this like, are you in? Are you in?
Excellent first step.
Okay.
So how is the search for a location going?
So, Michael, you want to real quick before I know you have to leave in a few minutes, but
What's that?